Has this ever happened to you? You're sitting alone in your room watching Euphoria to see what all the hype is about, wondering if teen parties like that actually exist because you sure weren't ever invited to any at that age. But while all those 30-year-old teenagers take drugs and beat each other up and wave their junk in front of the camera, all you can think is, where's all the anti-censorship messaging? Then boy, do I have the show for you. Back in 2003, we were true radicals. You kinda had to be there. Imagine, we were deep in the Bush administration years. Your teachers were Republicans. At least they were probably Republicans. They were just so old and mean, and your uncle taught you that that's like the worst thing you could call a person. And we had no Twitter. We needed some kind of outlet for our frustration over being told what to do and what to wear and who to vote for the next American Idol. Our long-lost but unforgettable home of teen drama, The N, sensed our primal need to make some noise and delivered unto us a little standout program called Radio Free Roscoe. A show about 4 high school freshmen who are frustrated with all the strict rules and regulations and compelled speech at their New Jersey school, Henry Roscoe High. So they have to make a pirate radio station to stick it to the man. The show had a decent hold on The N for a hot minute. Every weekday evening, RFR would come on at 5:30 to warm us up for Degrassi TNG at 6. And the show would last 4 seasons until, I guess, the N got tired of paying money for it. Degrassi TNG would continue for many years after that, but RFR seemed to fade into obscurity. And then I remembered it existed all of a sudden last month, and I was like, oh my god. I used to watch that every day, what the hell? So I've done a rewatch of the first season, and today I'm here to recap it all into all your little eyes and ears. And along the way, I'm gonna point out all the things that made the show so awesome and radical, and why we should have remembered it. And probably at the end, I'll go on some tangent about why the show needs to get rebooted today, or I'll have some conspiracy theory. I don't know, I haven't written that part of the script yet. Let's get started, shall we? This is gonna be fun. First things first, we gotta acknowledge the kick-ass theme song. And now we'll kick it off with episode 1, titled The Power of Radio. We're introduced to the whole main cast of main characters in the very first scene of the episode. Zero time wasted. We've got a trio of childhood best friends, Robbie McGrath, Ray Brennan, and Lily Randall. They're having lunch together on the first day of school at Henry Roscoe High. Let's address their personalities real quick. First, there's Robbie. Robbie's thing is that he loves the radio. He likes it so much, he brought one to school with him so he can constantly scan the airwaves for inspiration. I know, right? Yikes. But I'll make it no secret that Robbie is my favorite character of the show. This house is pro-Robbie. He's our thoughtful guy in the cast. He cares deeply about what other people think. Not like in a self-conscious way. I mean, he thinks everyone deserves to be heard. He's absolutely obsessed with getting other people to speak their minds, and he wants everybody's opinions to get a good platform. He's more or less the heart and soul of the entire show. Next, there's Ray, who's our comedy boy. He's another 14-year-old boy, except he has the speaking cadence and mannerisms of a 45-year-old early 2000s stand-up comedian. And if he's not careful, he's gonna end up living the lifestyle of one. Because, like, just check out how he feeds himself. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this kind of diet is one of the most direct gateways to cocaine usage.
It's Lupper. Lunch and supper?
Also, we just heard one of his catchphrases, where he smushes 2 words together and goes, "It's the best of both worlds." So, obviously, he's bad at decision-making. Ray shows affection to his friends by riffing on them constantly. He also has a strict father who just wants him to be a sports boy like his brother. Then there's Lily, the musician. She's a guitarist who isn't confident in her skills, and she hasn't even played live in front of people before. So far, she just records her new songs on CDs, and anxiously watches her best friends listen to them, and that's it. Which isn't the best way to get objective critique on your art, but you know, she's 14. She's got a pretty hipster attitude towards music, and she's tomboyish as far as female 2000s TV characters go. You know, no makeup, Pants. And she has 0 female friends. The 3 of them have just started high school, so they're going through a little bit of a culture shock. The way Ray talks about it, he fully expects to be publicly executed if he so much as says the wrong thing. To process it, the 3 of them are doing that thing where you do a mock nature documentary voice and scrutinize all the other kids and cliques in the cafeteria. But then they spot this one guy, Travis Strong. He's also a 14-year-old boy. The school is full of them. Ray makes it known that he does not like Travis. He's very threatened by him for some reason. I guess the explanation is that Travis greeted him in homeroom class, but like the wrong way.
You know what he said to me in homeroom? Hey, man. You don't say hey, man. The first time, you gotta become brothers.
Ray is like if toxic masculinity had a stroke or something. He has such strong opinions about bro code, but he'll interpret the rules so weird, you're just like, dude, do you need to sit down? Because no man has ever actually cared about this stuff. The school's radio station starts a broadcast over the intercom. It's called Cougar Radio, because the school mascot's a cougar. And Cougar Radio is run by the authoritarian school principal, Principal Waller, and the lead host of the station, the one and only Kim Carlisle. Kim Carlisle's such a radio tyrant, the intercom speaker even quakes in fear once her show comes on. She gives this announcement that's like, hey everyone, remember to be nice to the freshmen. Don't go too crazy this year. We'll see about that. After school, Robbie and Lily meet at their hangout spot, which is this... Honestly, I have no idea what this place is. Seriously, what kind of place is this? Some kind of abandoned building? Shed? Something? I mean, whatever it is, it sure looks like the perfect place to start a pirate radio station. Just saying. Lily plays her latest song for Robbie, and like we've established, she's not feeling confident about it, even though Robbie's rocking the fuck out to it right in front of her. Ray arrives and he talks about how he's trying out for the school play, but he's not looking forward to his dad's reaction, because as we know, Dad wants Ray to be a sports boy, not a theater boy. Robbie and Lily are like, no way, dude, you should try out for the play. Don't let your dad boss you around. Then Robbie and Lily are like, you should totally do your first open mic, like very soon. Rip off the Band-Aid already. Everyone's gonna follow their dreams. The next day at school, Principal Waller and Kim Carlisle hold DJ auditions for Cougar Radio. Robbie knocks his audition out of the park. He does a little bit where he encourages his peers to take risks and stand out from the crowd. And Waller's pretty impressed by Robbie's message, so it's looking really good for Robbie right now. Meanwhile, Ray auditions for the school play, and he does a pretty solid job for a child. Once tryouts are finished, Waller holds an orientation meeting with Kim Carlisle and Robbie and all the other new recruits. We get to see some more of Waller and Kim Carlisle's dynamic, and, well, I'm not a big fan of witnessing it, personally.
Tell them about the 3 C's.
It's so inspiring when you tell it.
Like, that would make me want to quit. We see that Travis from the cafeteria is there too. He asks Waller how much say the students will have in the music they play while DJing, and Waller says, well, they're getting 0. All they're getting to work with is a pre-approved playlist. That's red flag number 1. Then Travis mentions that he didn't see an editorial radio segment. We get one of those, don't we? But no. This Yankee Doodle-ass music comes on and Waller demands of the group.
My job is to make sure the station has one voice. It's not complicated.
Huh. Creepy. That's red flag number 2. Can we make that Waller and Kim Carlisle exchange at the beginning red flag number 3, by the way? I'm still thinking about how much I hated that. Waller is like Kim Carlisle's personal cult leader. She's the only member. So, Robbie's getting worried, but internally he's trying to convince himself that everything's gonna be okay. Travis, on the other hand, can already see where this is going. Later, Robbie, Ray, and Lily head over to Mickey's Discs, this record store / cafe they usually hang out at. This is the place they do open mics, which is happening right now. And this place is owned by this guy named Mickey, who is a legend. I love this character. When it's Lily's turn to take the stage, she starts playing her new song, but her little moment quickly falls to pieces because she's so nervous. It's embarrassing. She gives up and flees the stage partway through. Afterward, Robbie and Ray go to comfort her like the good friends they are. Lily asks how each of them are doing, and they're like, oh, I made it into Cougar Radio. Oh, I killed my play audition. And Lily's like, cool. Glad we're all doing so well. The next day, Robbie reports for duty at Cougar Radio, and Kim Carlisle hands him his copy for the morning. It's something about the science club fundraiser coming up. He's like, ha, who wrote this stupid corny garbage? And Kim Carlisle's like, me. I did that. Now you're gonna read it and like it. So he does, but as he does, he notices Travis running by, looking like he's up to something. After Robbie's segment is over, he exits the booth so that Kim Carlisle can take the wheel back. But she only gets a couple sentences out before the signal's intercepted. She can't hear it, but the rest of the school can, including Waller.
This is the voice of Roscoe. Hi. Your voice, of course.
Will not be heard.
The culprit's obviously Travis. He's running this long tirade about how Cougar radio's just for conformists. Mind you, Travis is running this message immediately after a story about a science club fundraiser. Yeah, Travis, you show those nerds. Stupid conformists wanting money to, learn about stuff. Still, Robbie's impressed. He catches Travis coming out of the room because Travis seamlessly pulled off this operation right across the hall from the radio station. Travis is like, "What, you gonna rat me out now?" And Robbie's like, "No, I want you to show me how you did that." Also, while all this was going on, Ray checks the cast list for the play, and he didn't get any part. Aw. Robbie invites Travis to their crime scene of a hangout spot, and Travis explains some of his background. He was born abroad and lived in a bunch of places like London and Hong Kong before he came to Canada. Ray bursts in to give Robbie his sad school play update, but seeing Travis stops him in his tracks. He's like, "You brought this guy to our house?" And the next day, Robbie goes in for round 2 at Cougar Radio. Today, his copy is about the upcoming pep rally, but he tests the waters and deviates from the script, suggesting if kids don't want to go to the rally, they can always go hang out at Mickey's Discs for some good music and stuff like that. And Waller, of course, gets pissed about this, and he reprimands Robbie. And on top of that, Kim Carlisle tells Robbie to go fetch her a soda. Wow. That's all Robbie needs to quit Cougar Radio. He's ready to start his own show. He invites Travis to join him, and then he innocently asks Lily for her CD with her new song on it so he can play it for someone. Then Robbie intercepts Ray as he's about to give up his theater dreams and join a sports team. Ray is still iffy about having anything to do with Travis, but he gives Robbie a chance to sell him on the idea. Robbie's like, "Nobody can tell us what to do. And we'll also definitely get lots of girls. Trust me, bro." And what do you know? It worked. And with that, it's time for the first show. Right before they start, they realize that their show still needs a name, so at the last minute, they come up with the name Radio Free Roscoe. Since Lily still doesn't know about the show yet, she's still moping by herself at Mickey's Discs. But then Mickey switches the station to RFR, and Lily immediately recognizes Ray's voice. That she's absolutely horrified when they start playing her new CD, and she's really mad about it until she notices that everyone around her is listening and enjoying it. So she deduces correctly that the broadcast is coming from the Death Shed of Friendship. She hightails it over there and she's like, "You guys rule. Where do I sign up?" And Robbie signs off their first broadcast by asking their audience to think deeply about what they truly want in life. Boom. What a pilot. I'll admit, it wasn't exactly as badass as I remembered. I was telling my friend about the show because he'd never seen it before, and I was like, yeah, they start their own radio station so they can talk about real shit. And they stick it to the man, and they call out the school for all the bullshit it does. It's so hardcore, man. I guess I forgot that the biggest gripe they have in the first episode is the science club fundraiser and not getting to play the music they want. So, not exactly how I remembered, but still. Solid introduction to the main cast. The characters are hella likable so far. We want to see what happens next. Just like last time, episode 2, titled On the Air, opens on lunch at the cafeteria. The 4 friends are feeling like hot shit already. They're feeling like real rebels and system fighters after their first show. And there's a bunch of RFR flyers all over the school now too. So their audience is about to get bigger. Robbie spots these 2 guys named Ed and Ted. And they're, I don't know what's up with these guys. They're just total full-time weirdos, I guess. Their thing is that they're knowledgeable about pop culture stuff and they can identify a good radio show. Anyway, Robbie asks them what they think about all the RFR flyers and if they're gonna tune in today. They're like, anything's better than Cougar Radio, so I guess that's a yes. Robbie comes back to the table to go over their show's schedule, and we quickly realize that he's micromanaging the show pretty bad because he wants people like Ed and Ted to take the show seriously, but Ray's pretty annoyed that there's no room for spontaneity on the schedule. Also, today we learned that Travis eats NASA space food for lunch, straight out of the tube. You know, the writers give Travis a lot of personality quirks to make him this mysterious kind of figure. He's so cool and well-traveled, right? But I think they only land 50% of the time because what what is this shit? Robbie asks everyone if they've chosen their radio names yet. None of them have. And Lily says she's still working on their new theme song. And then Kim Carlisle's voice Kool-Aid Man's through the intercom again to remind everyone that the career aptitude tests that are happening today are mandatory. We cut to the aptitude test in progress. Ray has no idea where he even is. He tries cheating off Lily for his aptitude test. He's also whispering loudly to everyone around him, like, I don't know how Waller's not catching him do this. Also, Travis makes a donkey. After school, Ray is still trying to nail down his radio name. Robbie insists they all have to be anonymous if they want to speak freely. He gives Lily her radio name Shady Lane because it's the name of the song that made her want to learn guitar. Then they riff on the aptitude test a little, which leads to Robbie coming up with his own radio name with a little help from Ray.
What if you don't have a favorite flower?
What if you try ending your sentences without a question mark every time?
Question mark?
Travis finishes putting the final touches on the studio and he walks everybody through their new equipment. It's looking so legit and hella aesthetic. And then Ray accidentally gives Travis his radio name.
I wasn't touching anything, smirk dog.
Smirk dog. Smog. Best of both worlds.
Now they're ready to start. Their listeners are anxiously tuning in. Right before they go live, Robbie gives Ray his radio name, Pronto, because Ray is always leaving things to the last second. So that's kind of cute.
So what do you think?
I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one.
And it's showtime. And I'll just throw this out there. I'm going to try to refer to the kids by their real names in all the non-RFR contexts, and their show names whenever they're on the air. Sorry if it gets confusing, but it'd feel kind of wrong to announce their aliases and then never use them. Anyway, their second show flops automatically. Question Mark starts with his famous questions, but Pronto interrupts out of boredom. Shady Lane tries to play her new RFR jingle, but she keeps messing up. Smog cuts to a playlist, and now everyone's arguing. Great. The next day, the gang's keeping their ears perked for any RFR feedback from their fellow students. They go to pick up their aptitude test results from Waller, and they run into Ed and Ted again.
Oh, hey, Ed, Ted.
That's Ted and Ed. We're going reverse alphabetical now.
Okay, I can't say I understand these characters, but I like them. The gang asks Ed and Ted how they like the show, and they're all, we didn't. It wanted to be real radio, but it's not real radio just because it's on the radio. They're not wrong. So now the gang's already thinking of quitting, because, like, how do you even act real when you're anonymous? For the next show, they try to remedy it by forcing some kinds of personality out of themselves. Pronto tries to be a shock jock. Shady tries to be some kind of hardcore punk rocker. Question Mark tries to put on some kind of manly voice for some reason. And Smog plays a bunch of sound effects from his soundboard. It's even cringier than yesterday. The next day, Kim Carlisle even goes on air to call them out for sucking so much. After school, they decide to give RFR one more shot. But when they get to the studio, they happen to open their aptitude test results at the same time and talk about them. And while they're doing that, Travis sneakily hits the on-air button. And of course, while the kids are acting completely natural and teasing each other like the good friends that they are, everyone tuned in finds themselves endeared to RFR all over again. None of the other DJs realize they're on the air until someone calls into the show to give his take on the aptitude tests. Everyone gets mad at Travis for a second. But then Robbie realizes that their real conversation was real radio. So he convinces everyone to keep going. And of course it works. Even Ed and Ted call in. That's how you know you've won. So just like that, the show's vibes are really good. Everyone's getting hype. They're the best teenager-led radio station in town. Episode 3, about a girl, starts with the gang at school playing a game called Choose. The way you play is you say to someone, hey, choose this thing or that thing, and then they choose. However, when Ray plays it, he's always asking the guys to choose between two different women, which Lily finds tiring. And Robbie's not much for the game either, since he keeps going on about his girlfriend Eve, who he met on a day trip to Lake Erie, and now they correspond daily.
I met Eve on a day trip to Lake Erie, and now we correspond daily.
This girl in Lily's class named Audrey stops by to give Lily back her notes. Ray tries to get Audrey to join the game, because he thinks she's hot. But her attention goes immediately to Travis. After that, Lily catches up with Audrey at the lockers to apologize for Ray and his choose game, but Audrey doesn't care about that. She wants to know if Lily's into Travis. Lily's all, nah, I'm just one of the boys. Audrey's like, you must be sick of that, huh? And Lily's like, you know what? Yeah, I'm so sick of that. So Audrey invites Lily to hang out after school. Lily asks Travis to play a playlist for her today because she's gonna miss the show. Oh my god. Just look at the massive shirt collar on this boy. It's so distracting. You could land a plane on that thing. Seriously, what the hell? After school, Audrey comes over to Lily's house. She sees Lily's room and she's like, oh my god, ew, it looks like a boy lives here. Where's all your makeup and your high heels? And biscuits to hang out to your gentleman collars. Sorry, I've been watching like a lot of Bridgerton. Lily just says that makeup makes her feel like she's hiding.
Actually worn makeup.
Oh no, I did play Pocahontas in the 4th grade recital, but
Better hope no one took photos of that. Audrey just kind of bulldozes her like, leave the critical thinking to the parents and the boys. Put some makeup on with me, just do it. So they do it. Meanwhile, the RFR show's about to start, boys only. Robbie's still daydreaming about Eve while Ray continues to disbelieve the realness of their relationship. When they go live, Lily turns on the show in her room and she and Audrey listen. And then the girls do something that Lily has never done before. Talk about boys. Audrey really wants to know what Travis's type is, which obviously Lily has no idea. Audrey pitches going on a double date with Travis and this guy at school named Lee Johns, who, word on the street says, thinks Lily's pretty cute. The next day, Lily shows up to school with Audrey and she's looking different. She's got makeup on, she's got a skirt on, she's got that weird half-part thing in her hair that we all thought was cute for a second in 2003. Remember that? Needless to say, the boys are stunned. Ray most of all. Audrey introduces Lily to Lee Johns, and it goes well. So they set up a time to meet later. Lily goes back to the boys. Ray gets all weird and overprotective about her dressing up. Robbie is more supportive, but he's like, you can't miss the show again. Lily gets mad and she's like, I need a break from you guys once in a while. She leaves.
Hey, why would anybody need a break from me? Lily, hey! Hey!
Later at lunch, Audrey stops by the boys on the stairs to ask Travis out, but he turns her down. Ray asks Travis why he did that, and Travis is all, girls think I'm so cool and mysterious, but when they find out I'm actually into obscure Japanese horror movies, they get all weirded out. I'd have guessed it was the whole eating NASA food paste for lunch thing, but tell your truth, Travis. Later at Mickey's, Lily's hanging out one-on-one with Lee Johns. Ray is staring them down. And Robbie's texting Eve and losing his absolute mind at every flirty, winky face. Then Ray can't take it anymore, and he barges into Lily and Lee's conversation all, hey Lily, how's that contagious rash of yours going? So Lee decides it's time to split. Then Lily storms out. Ray is feeling that unearned sense of victory that men get. Before the next RFR broadcast, Lily tries to give Travis Audrey's number. Travis obviously wants to call Audrey, but he's not ready yet. Then Ray busts in, already in full-fledged asshole mode. As Pronto, he starts the show with a game of choose, asking Shady Lane to choose between discussing important issues on the radio or playing dress up, which was the wrong thing to say, because Shady Lane chooses important issues and decides that today's important issue is the way boys get to bond over the most mundane shit all the time, but two girls hanging out like normal gets called playing dress up. And before Pronto realizes what he's got himself into, a ton of girls start calling in, telling their own stories where the men and boys in their lives belittled them for their completely normal teenage girl interests. It goes on for hours. It's amazing. And Pronto's the only one here getting mad about it. Finally, when it's over, Lily casually strolls out, announcing she's got another date with Lee. She tells Ray that she just told Lee that Ray was obsessed with her and, like, he'd say anything to get any other man away from her. Once she's gone, Robbie turns on Ray.
Why are you being such a jerk?
Robbie and Travis quickly deduce that, yes, Ray is in love with Lily, and they tell him off for being such a territorial jerk. Then Ray calls out Robbie for having this fantasy text-only relationship that isn't real, and then Travis agrees with Ray, so Robbie calls Travis out for his crippling fear of rejection. Nobody is safe from the callouts today, except for Lily. Speaking of Lily, she's on her date with Lee Johns right now, and it's not going well. Lily's starting to notice that they have nothing in common or anything to talk about. She tries to play a game of choose with him, but he doesn't even understand the concept. All he wants to talk about is soccer. So that love story meets its end. Meanwhile, Travis is still alone at the station. He thinks about calling Audrey, but he chickens out. And then Robbie gets that dreaded "we need to talk" text message from Eve. Poor kids are going through it today. That night, Ray finds Lily outside of Mickey's and finally gives her the sincere apology she deserves. Lily admits that it didn't work out with Lee after all, and they reconcile over what else but another game of choose. Episode 4, Radio Wars, is probably my absolute favorite episode. Let me tell you why. Once again, it starts out at lunch in the cafeteria, except this time the whole place is covered in toilet paper because someone did a prank. The place is also covered in RFR publicity, thanks to Travis sneaking in flyers during a PTA meeting. Kim Carlisle's show comes on, and she announces that the toilet paper pranksters have been apprehended. Ray thinks that Kim must have turned in the pranksters herself. Robbie's like, no, she's not that bad. Everyone else is all, ha! That's a good one. Kim continues, saying no more flyers are allowed on school without the official Roscoe happy face stamp on it, specifically calling out the lame RFR flyers. So now Robbie flips his stance on her all over again. I guess lame is his trigger word. This gets Ray to start doing a funny Kim Carlisle impression, which gives Robbie an idea for their show that afternoon. During their broadcast, Pronto breaks out the Kim Carlisle impression again, and I love this scene.
So, Kim, why don't you tell our listeners why you've blessed us with your presence?
Kim wants to say how sorry she is for calling Radio Free Roscoe lame. If she could, she'd go stamp them with a happy face from her heart.
It's like political satire for kids. Everyone's having a great time, but also Principal Waller is listening to the show back at Roscoe. He interrupts Kim's Cougar radio broadcast and has her listen to Pronto's impression of her.
I just thought you should know.
Why, dude? You don't have to get involved in things like this. It's weird. Like the principal enjoys fanning the flames of this feud between children. At least Kim ends up stealing his radio. RFR ends their show with a new segment called Gripe of the Day, giving the listeners a platform to call in and report on their gripes. Love it. But then the next day, Kim Carlisle starts her broadcast with another new segment called Beef du Jour. Excuse me? So RFR calls into Cougar Radio as their radio personas. They start mocking Kim on her own show for stealing their segment, and the whole student body gets a huge kick out of it. I mean, I probably wouldn't pull this kind of thing on campus where anybody could catch them, but still, badass. Before the next RFR broadcast, they listen to some Cougar Radio. Kim's doing parodies now. She's got this segment where she's DJ semicolon that she makes fun of Shady Lane's music. So now RFR has to bite back again. A minute later, Waller interrupts Kim. He's listening to RFR on his new toy radio, and they're playing the hot new Shady Lane bop.
So turn her off. Put the cougar on a diet. Turn her off. Kim Carlisle, be quiet.
It's excellent. Also, Kim steals Waller's toy radio too. They're really getting to her. The next day, RFR is feeling like hot shit, thinking they've won the radio war. But then they see the school newspaper going around with a headline accusing them of being responsible for the surge in school vandalism. What? At the next show, Pronto accuses Kim of being the reliable source behind the article, warning the student body that Kim is a narc who will rat everyone out. Like, for example, the time the science club burnt E=mc² into the football field, which, I'm sorry, but who did you suspect? The swim team? Of course, Kim and Waller are listening to this on Waller's third radio, which Kim proceeds to demolish.
What do you have against me owning a radio?
Once they're off the air, the gang realizes that Ray didn't actually have a reliable source for his accusation against Kim. And everyone's like, dude, what are you doing? Now we're no better than Cougar Radio. It's hard to get upset with Ray for what he did, but it's nice to see that RFR already has a strong sense of journalistic integrity. And at the end of the day, they do not want to be hypocrites. But then, funnily enough, in Waller's office, we find out that Kim was the reliable source after all. Waller tries to put a positive spin on being a narc, but you can tell Kim's starting to see how badly she's antagonized the entire student body, thanks to the power trip that Waller has given her. Anyway, Waller has Kim go on the air the next day to extend a reluctant olive branch to RFR. To symbolically accept the truce, Ray and Travis sneak into the school at night and paper the Cougar radio station with RFR flyers in a peace sign formation. But then they hear somebody spray painting something. They peek at who it is and they're like, whoa, and then they take a sneaky flip phone photo. The next day, all the students arrive and we see that the graffiti says RFR rules. So someone was trying to frame them. Travis shows Robbie the photo he took and asks if they should show it to Waller, but Robbie says no. They don't want to be narcs like Kim. So let's give Kim a chance to redeem herself instead. Just as Waller takes the Cougar radio mic to threaten the new spray painting vandal, they anonymously email the photo to Kim, and the photo reveals that Kim did it. Wow, it's just like real propaganda. So Kim panics. He interrupts Waller's broadcast. She lies that she just got new insight from her reliable source that the vandalism was a frame job. She's like, we can't go on with the story without all the facts, sir. Then we'd be no better than RFR. Then during their show later, RFR plays a little musical truce of their own.
Give peace a try. Let's give peace a try.
This episode is just the spirit of RFR in a nutshell. They're teaching us about journalistic integrity. They're warning us about hypocrisy. They're showing us that with just a little bit of creativity, you can push back against all the lies and propaganda without resorting to the same immoral methods. I mean, real shame this show's been forgotten, because it doesn't seem like those values are very popular anymore. I don't mean to sound like some old person, but it's like now we measure journalism by how well it performs on social media as opposed to how actually good and accurate it is. And whoever owns their political opponents with the most stupid, catty Twitter one-liners is the best journalist. Even if they're really just frantically flinging shit at people because they don't actually know what they're talking about. It's like, who gives a shit if you got caught being a hypocrite, or if we find out you don't have any actual sources for your claims? Just threaten their mom. Yeah, dude, you got him. It takes a lot of work to be a good journalist, and to even just maintain a large platform. And on top of that, it's a huge responsibility, which apparently we understood way better back in the 2000s. Anyway, let's move right along to episode 5. Episode 5, Clark Kent, opens with Robbie and Travis at school waiting for the bell to ring. When it does, gym class lets out, and Robbie gets to feast his eyes upon his crush, Judy. She's this popular girl that he's still a little too nervous to talk to yet. At the show that day, asks, what is love? Why is it so powerful? And Pronto's like, 'cause it sucks. Listeners start calling in and they all start trading ideas on things like how to go on dates on a budget and stuff like that. Until a girl going by the name Starry Eyes calls in and she asks specifically for ? She says that she has no luck with guys because they never take the time to get to know the real her. ? Like, girl, you just need a man who sees you for who you are. Which is like, yeah, dude, she just said that. Then a guy calls in wondering if he's blown it with his crush because she doesn't laugh at his jokes anymore. Shady Lane's all, if you want her to notice you, you gotta cut all the jokes, grow up, and stop with the stupid pet tricks. And Pronto's sitting there like, okay, cool. The next day, Lily and Ray are in science class, and it's frog dissection day. Lily's not participating because she's still heartbroken about her old pet frog that died. It escaped and got smushed by a car. And of course, Ray just cracks a joke about it, which is like, dude, come on. Did you not hear what Shady Lane said yesterday? Meanwhile, Robbie and Judy are in the same lit class, and the unit they're on right now is Wuthering Heights. The teacher gives a homework assignment where everyone has to pick a chapter from the book and then interpret it through some kind of creative expression, like a dance or something. And I'm concerned about this one kid who raises his hand and then the teacher's like, no, live animals are not creative. What? What is this guy's story? What havoc has he wrought that made the teacher shoot him down that quick? After class, Robbie gathers the courage to shoot his shot with Judy. But when Judy says she's thinking of doing a tango for her project, Robbie is like, oh my god, for real? You tango, I tango. We can both tango together. So now they're gonna work together, all because of a lie. So Robbie goes to visit Mickey to get some tango lessons. Have I mentioned how much I love Mickey yet? A+ teenager ally. He's so supportive and he takes their teenage problems so seriously. He's a really nice dude. I mean, for some reason, he starts teaching Robbie how to follow, but still, it's the kindness that counts at the end of the day. The next day, Robbie and Judy practice, and Robbie is getting too distracted by Judy's ethereal beauty to really concentrate. But then she starts talking about how she listens to RFR and how she's so into question mark. Guys, it's starry eyes. After that, Robbie tells Ray and Travis the news, and they're like, you're like Clark Kent. And then Travis has to go and remind Robbie that Clark Kent never actually ends up with Lois Lane. That's right, Travis. Don't let anyone get too happy. We cut to the show, and Starry Eyes calls in for the 3rd time that week, and she and Question Mark just take over the entire show while the others just sit around all bored. During the music break, Lily warns Robbie that Judy's one of those girls who lives by unwritten rules about who she can and can't date, strongly implying that Robbie should not get his hopes up. The next day, Ray's got Lily on the brain. He's starting to think it's time to tell her his feelings. He asks Travis how he'd hypothetically do that, and Travis says, do something nice for her that shows that you really know her. Then Robbie and Judy practice their tango again, and Judy gets so caught up in the moment, she straight up kisses Robbie. She says that she was imagining kissing question mark. This girl really has a radio-based parasocial relationship. Like it's the 1930s. At the next show, before Lily gets there, Ray busts into the studio all triumphant and smelling like absolute ass, because he's just thrown himself into a pond to kidnap a frog for Lily as tribute to her old dead frog. That's the thing that he's doing for her, so that she knows that he really knows her. When the show starts, they take even more questions about love, and then Starry Eyes calls in again. And then this time, question marks all, let's meet in person, you and me. And Smog quickly cuts to music, and everyone's freaking out, because Robbie is starting to lose sight of the entire purpose of the show. But Robbie ignores them, and when the music's over, question mark gets back on the line and invites Starry Eyes to meet at Mickey's a few hours after Robbie and Judy are supposed to do their tango performance. Performance day arrives, and Robbie and Judy have to follow this accordion and clarinet act, which has to take some of the pressure off. And before they go on, Judy's gushing to Robbie about how she's totally gonna meet question mark tonight. Meanwhile, the rest of RFR is at the station, and they're worried that Robbie is gonna actually out himself to this girl. Travis takes it upon himself to go leave and intercept Robbie, leaving Ray and Lily alone. So Robbie and Judy do their tango. They absolutely kill it, and they seal it off with this really passionate kiss at the end. Their teacher's almost too into it. And then Judy hurries out to go on her date with question mark. And back at the station, Ray gives Lily her frog present, but she shakes the shoebox. Jesus Christ. And then when she opens it, the frog is unresponsive, so she thinks Ray's actually gone and killed a frog as some kind of sick joke at her expense. Couldn't have gone worse. Lily storms out and goes to Mickey's, where Travis is waiting to snatch Robbie. But then Robbie sees them, and they plead with him to turn around, but he really wants to go through with this, so he does. He spots Judy sitting alone, so he goes up to her, and he's just about to tell her that he's question mark. But he changes his mind, and instead he asks Judy if she would like to go out with him, as in Robbie. And she's all, "Aw, that's very flattering and all, but like, question mark is definitely more my type. 'Cause he's kind of like a celebrity." Wow. Wow. Needless to say, question mark does not show up that night. Robbie goes back to the station to find Ray by himself, just poking at this concussed frog. Robbie explains that it didn't work out with Judy, because when he showed Judy the real him, she showed him the real her. That's some deep shit right there. Then the frog comes back to life. Thank goodness. This guy just started mowing the lawn. On a Friday? On a Friday. Where am I? And Ray decides he's gonna set him free back at the pond, and the boys head out for the night. This episode explored a different side of the anonymity that the RFR gang has been enjoying so far. They're starting to realize that with all the freedoms it affords them, It also comes with some sacrifices sometimes, thanks to stuff like this. Episode 6, I Am Question Mark, begins right before showtime at RFR. Ray gets in trouble for getting hot sauce on Lily's guitar. Then when they start, Question Mark asks the audience, is music evil? Sounds a little satanic panicky, I know. But he's asking because Henry Roscoe High has just banned headphones on school property, because Waller says they're harmful to the learning environment. Apparently a lot of school policy is tightened up lately in terms of things like headphones and dress code, and RFR's had enough of this. So Shady Lane suggests that somebody ought to start a petition to protest the ban. The next day, Lily walks around with the new petition, but in spite of RFR's spirited call to action yesterday, nobody seems too interested in signing it. Maybe not everyone thinks it's a big deal, I guess. Then in Robbie and Lily's class, Waller comes in and spots this one guy, Delancey, who's got headphones on, so Waller confiscates them. And Delancey's also gone and drawn this really unflattering portrait of Waller too, so that gets him in even more trouble. So now Robbie and Lily are even more determined to end these policies. Later that day, Robbie vents to Mickey about all that stuff, and Mickey tells him not to think too badly about Waller because after all, Waller still got some of that angry nerd energy inside him long after he and Mickey were in high school together. Robbie's like, huh? What? And Mickey tells him all about how he and Waller actually used to be co-DJs on Cougar Radio when they were in high school. So we see this flashback to Cougar Radio circa 1978, where they look exactly the same, but with afros, of course. Waller's DJ name was Danger Man, and Mickey's was Fusebox. It's so good.
I don't know how to tell you this, Danger Man, but Disco's dead.
Yeah, right. I'll be the principal of Roscoe High someday.
Robbie says he'd give anything to hear Waller in DJ mode. Sure enough, at the next RFR show, they kick it off with some disco music. That's right. Mickey gave Robbie the tape. And they're gonna play it right now, knowing that Waller's gonna hear of it sooner or later. Which doesn't, seem like the best plan if you don't want Mickey to find out who RFR is, but I get it. Waller needs to be taken down a peg, right? If petitions won't work, they're gonna have to shame him into ending the headphone ban. And yes, indeed, he is listening to the show right now, and he is about to go on a warpath. The next day, Waller does a broadcast on Cougar Radio, calling for anyone with info on the DJ known as Question Mark to report that info to him. And then he calls a bunch of boys into the principal's office, including Robbie, Travis, and Delancey. Travis gets them all to agree to pretend that they're Question Mark to throw off Waller's investigation. So when Waller has them read some RFR copy for him, they act as pants-shittingly nervous as possible. When it's Robbie's turn, Waller asks him if he thinks that it's fair if Question Mark gets to expose Waller as Danger Man while choosing to remain anonymous himself. And it's a fair question. It's definitely got Robbie thinking a little. Someone once told me the grass was much longer in my neighbor's yard. Okay, I think he's going over there now. He heard me. Waller says he's giving Question Mark till the end of school tomorrow to turn himself in, or Waller will reveal his identity at the school assembly, implying this will ruin Question Mark's chances of getting into college. Sounds kind of fake to me. I feel like I started an underground radio station to promote free speech at my high school. Would be a killer application essay. But he's definitely got Robbie shaken up now. After Robbie tells the other guys what happened, Ray insists that Waller has to be bluffing. But now Robbie's starting to think that maybe he's abused RFR's power by choosing to humiliate Waller instead of staying focused on the headphone ban. Meanwhile, Waller pays Mickey a visit to ask him if he gave RFR the tape. Mickey tries to reason with Waller that this whole thing isn't worth ruining a kid's entire future, reminding Waller that they made their own mistakes when they ran Cougar Radio too. Waller runs into Robbie on his way out, and Mickey suggests that Robbie better tell Question Mark that Waller's not bluffing. so he better choose his next move wisely. The next day, this cute little thing happens. Lily's still at it with her petition and still struggling to get anybody to sign it. So to rescue her, Ray throws himself out there and he starts dancing and he rips his shirt off till everyone's looking at him. He's like, I'm gonna rip off my pants too, and the only way to stop me is by signing Lily's petition. And it works. I think that's the top Ray moment of the season so far. After school, Robbie tells Lily that he's going to turn himself in, whether or not Waller's playing mind games, which would mean that RFR is done, so that's scary. But then Delancey's there, and he shows Robbie this new Waller portrait he drew, and then he's like, no fear, which changes Robbie's mind. I guess that's how it happens. Because later, Robbie arrives at RFR at the last minute, saying he's not turning himself in, but he's got something to say. They go live, and Question Mark apologizes directly to Waller for taking things too far and humiliating him with the Danger Man tape. Then he pleads with everyone listening to keep doing what they believe in and not let anyone scare them out of doing it. But also, like, please stop calling Waller Danger Man because it's just not the way. And then Robbie gets up and leaves the show, presumably forever. Meanwhile, Waller's listening and he doesn't look too softened by Question Mark's heartfelt apology. In fact, he even looks kind of energized, and it's a little scary.
All right, Question Mark. That's strike one.
The next day, Waller kicks off the assembly by talking about Lily's petition. He says it's still 20 signatures short, so the ban is still in effect. He almost lets everyone go, but then he spots Delancey wearing his headphones right in front of him, and he calls everyone back, calls out Question Mark, and demands that he makes himself known, and the place falls silent. So Robbie rises up, and he's about to out himself. But then...
I am Question Mark.
I am Question Mark.
I am Question Mark.
I am Question Mark.
Classic. And as Waller watches it unfold, he doesn't really seem that mad anymore. Like he was really caught up in seeking his own justice. But once he sees all his students stand together in solidarity, you can tell he's actually a little impressed. There's still a little rebel left in him yet. I like that a lot. And with that, Question Mark gets to remain anonymous. Episode 7, Political in Pink, starts with the school presidential election rally in progress. This girl named Jennifer Peoples is giving her speech. She's that one girl in every high school who runs every year and always wins. And the RFR gang wishes out loud that someone would run against her who actually stands a chance. I guess they're just sick of seeing her in that position. They don't really give a real reason why they want her kicked out of office. They're just feeling negative. I mean, first Jennifer says she wants to institute a zero-tolerance policy on racism, classism, and sexism. And for some reason, Ray riffs on that.
You forgot botulism.
And
What the fuck, Ray? But after that, it makes more sense, because Jennifer goes on to say she'll reduce socially deviant forms of personal expression. Lily's like, what does that even mean? And the boys encourage her to ask Jennifer Peoples to her face. Jennifer's like, socially deviant stuff is like stuff that shows that you don't even want to fit in, like dyeing your hair pink. And then she looks real pointedly at this one girl nearby with pink hair. Jennifer references Lincoln saying, a house divided cannot stand. And Lily's like, did he not also say he wanted a government by the people, of the people, for the people? Not just Jennifer Peoples. The crowd goes wild. The cafeteria just eats it up. Travis says that Lily should run for president, and she's like, oh my god, no. Don't be silly. After school, the RFR crew still can't get over the whole socially deviant forms of personal expression thing. They're still riffing on it once they're on the air. And then Shady Lane gets caught off guard when Question Mark says that he hopes Lily Randall runs for president. And then the other boys join in, and all of a sudden, RFR is officially endorsing Lily Randall before her campaign even exists yet. So at that point, Lily's like, guess I'll give it a shot. The next day, there's another rally at lunch, and Lily takes the stage this time. She is not used to this kind of thing.
I don't really have a speech prepared because I'm so totally nervous right now. I mean, I'm sweating in places I've never sweat before.
But she still manages to win them over. She says that all she wants is for the student body to think for themselves, and if that involves dyeing your hair pink, then think pink. Looks like we've got ourselves a campaign slogan. Then at the next show, who should call in but Jennifer Peoples herself. She calls them the Lily Randall Propaganda Station, which is really funny. She is all, Lily wouldn't even have her campaign if it weren't for me. She kind of ignores the part where she was openly judging people for their personal choices and how that might have turned them off. But then she starts asking the tough questions. Like, what has Lily even accomplished before anyway? And then Pronto panics and he pretends the call is cutting out, which forces Smog to switch to a playlist. And everyone's a little mad at Ray now because he did a censorship, which we are not about around here. And Lily's like, Jennifer's right anyway. I haven't proven anything. Yet. And then the next day, Lily shows up to school with bright pink hair. Waller almost calls her out for breaking the dress code, but then everyone starts a Think Pink chant. The show is having a great time with this Lily Randall campaign. They're writing all kinds of creative campaign ads and hyping her up, except Shady Lane isn't there because she's at school talking with the people as Lily. Question Mark also gives an open invite to any other candidates who want to call in to make up for Pronto's censorship hijinks the other day. So of course, Jennifer calls in again and starts putting Lily on blast for all kinds of shit, like dropping out of Glee Club in the 5th grade. Oh man, guys, maybe we put our trust in the wrong candidate. At school, the original pink hair girl has Lily listen to RFR while Jennifer's going on her tirade, and she comes running back to the station all furious. Robbie tries to stop her, but Lily goes on air as herself, making a parody Jennifer Peoples ad.
Hello, I'm Lily Randall. And this is the kind of lame-o ad I would make if I was Jennifer Peoples.
Not too classy. The next campaign event at school is this Q&A session for all the candidates. The room is full of pink hair. Like, even Travis is wearing this hilarious pink wig. And he tells Lily that, according to the polls, she's actually in the lead. So to keep that going, Ray tells her when she goes up for the Q&A to not rock the boat. When she goes up to answer questions, the first one she gets is, why should only the jocks get award banquets and not any of the other school clubs? How's that fair? And to not rock the boat, Lily says this bullshit that's like, being yourself is its own reward. Ray likes that answer, but unfortunately, so does Waller. So Lily's immediately like, fuck. Then the original pink hair girl gets up and she's all, how can you justify making me a total joke? I had pink hair before everyone else had pink hair. Now my pink-haired friends and I all look like a bunch of conformists. How dare you? Lily tries to put this positive spin on it. She's like, well, now you're part of something even bigger. Doesn't go over well. The original pink hairs walk right on out. Lily and Travis debrief a little after that, and Lily's feeling worse and worse about her Q&A performance. Travis says, come on, you sounded like a real 9th grade president out there. And she's all, yeah. That's the problem. Even Waller liked me out there. So Travis reminds her that it's hard to be yourself and please everybody at the same time. This isn't like RFR, where she can hide her identity and it's safe to be authentic. Here, she has to use her real name to essentially help enact Waller's agenda, which feels kind of fucked. Lily walks around and seeing all these kids dressing like her and dyeing their hair like her just throws her into a tailspin. And she ends up calling into RFR as Shady Lane to unendorse Lily and say she's disappointed in Lily's campaign. Jennifer Peoples was right all along about the pink hair being a gimmick. Lily is not an authentic candidate. She does not deserve to be president. Nobody should vote for her. And so ends the Lily Randall presidential campaign. The following day, Jennifer Peoples wins the presidency like she does, and Lily is feeling good about herself because she's staying true to who she is. On RFR, Shady Lane sings a little tribute song to Jennifer Peoples to congratulate her, and everything basically goes back to normal. Episode 8, The Impostor, starts in the middle of some kind of Roscoe trivia game segment on RFR. And then when it's over, everyone's all happy and high-fiving, and not even noticing that Travis back there just got fucking electrocuted. They just leave without him. They don't even look back. That's cold. They all make their way over to Mickey's and complain about how there's nothing else to do in this town but go to Mickey's. And Mickey's like right over there being all, exits that way, kids. Feel free to use it. Ray complains about how he just fumbled asking out his new crush named Paige, except he didn't Really? Paige just thought he wanted to sit on the bench she was sitting on, so she and her friend left. But she left her retainer sitting in the pile of her lunch trash, and Ray keeps it. He just puts it in his pocket. Ugh. Well, Lily thinks that Robbie and Ray should have a double date with Paige and Paige's friend, whose name is Aaron. Travis pipes up and he's like, why not throw a warehouse party at Mickey's hosted by RFR? And Lily's like, yeah, you two should pre-record some intros and Travis and I will hold down the fort while you go party. They start spreading the word about the party the next day. For best effect, they're going around whispering at people, shh, it's a really private party, so please don't tell anyone. Everyone ends up hearing about it. The news reaches this guy named Leon, who tries to spread the news to Travis. And Travis is all, yeah, I knew already. I knew before you knew. But then Leon's like, that's actually not possible. 'Cause I'm Smog. I'm sorry, you're who? Obviously, the real Smog is standing right in front of him. At the studio later, Robbie and Ray are trying to pre-record their intros for the party. Ray calls Travis out for not calling Leon out for saying that he's Smog. And Travis is like, I can't just say I'm Smog, 'cause that'll blow my cover. And besides, it's kind of fun having a doppelganger. That might be kind of goofy and funny. Anyway, Travis is already over it. He pulls out this CD and he's like, here's the perfect background music for the party. I got it from some DJ I met in England. And it's really good music, so they use it for their intro. The day before the dance, Ray steadies himself to ask Paige out to be his date. He's still got that retainer just dangling from his little hand. Ugh. He gives it back to Paige, which for whatever reason doesn't scare her away. She's all, how can I ever thank you? As if it's really romantic. And Robbie jumps in being all, hey, you and your friend should go to that dance with us. So they say yes. Later at the station, Travis is by himself mixing some music and Lily surprise visits him. And she realizes that Travis is the one who actually mixed that awesome CD from earlier. She's like, why didn't you tell us? And Travis kind of gets uncharacteristically pissy about it. He's like, I don't have to prove myself to you guys. And he stomps out of there. The next day, Ray and Robbie are at school when Leon comes up to them. He is being all, Smog's gonna rock the house at the party tonight. My fans expect it. Robbie asks him why he's the only DJ who's apparently revealed themselves. Leon's like, it's because I'm the one who cares the most about RFR. The others are just talking heads. I'm like the unsung hero. Ray gets real mad. He's like, what do you mean unsung hero? You just push buttons. A monkey could do that. And Travis happens to walk by and overhear him say that. Super cool, Ray.
I meant a smart monkey. The ones that wear top hats.
That day, the show starts late because Travis still hasn't shown up. When he finally does show up, he's like, no hard feelings, but after the dance, I'm gonna bounce. I'm leaving RFR. The night of the dance arrives, and Travis and Lily meet at the station to do their hosting business while the other guys go to the party. Lily pleads with Travis to not quit the show, but Travis goes, Ray's got a point. All I do is push buttons. And Lily gets pretty aggressive out of nowhere. She's like, fine. Be a loner if that's what you want. Never feel the thrill of putting yourself out there for all I care. Which is kind of rich coming from her, specifically. I mean, up to this point, she still hasn't performed an entire song in public yet. But go off, I guess. The dance is in full swing and it's really packed. Ray greets his date in typical Ray fashion.
You look pretty. That's fine and pretty. Best of both worlds.
This boy is doomed. Back at the station, Travis admits to Lily that he didn't not bust Leon because he doesn't want to fit in. He actually does, he just doesn't know how. So Lily's like, let me help you out with that. Shady Lane then interrupts the party music with a pre-recorded question mark segment, which snaps Robbie right out of his on a date mindset. This micromanager. He panics and he calls Lily all, that's in the wrong order. Oh, and he left Ray to keep the girls occupied.
I used to have a dog who ate peanuts.
Then Leon rolls up to the party and everyone starts cheering because, oh my god, it's Smog in the flesh. Kind of crazy how all these people just believed him, by the way. I mean, who even is this guy? Leon. I'm Leon. Again, Robbie runs to call Lily and he's like, Leon just got here. You guys need to expose him, like, right now. But Lily's fucking with him. She's just like, nope. Hey, I wonder how Ray is holding up right now.
I wear pants. My dad wears slacks.
Fuck. Shady Lane comes on the broadcast and she's all, I hear Smog's in the house. Let's hear it for Smog. Everyone goes nuts. Robbie's going insane right now. And Shady Lane says, by the way, all the music you're dancing to right now was mixed by Smog himself. And guess what? Now he's gonna do some mixing for you all live. Boom. Got him. Leon panics, but they all push him on stage. He tries to learn how to do the turntables in like a split second, but obviously he can't. Everyone gets mad. And Shady Lane's like, I couldn't hear what just happened, but I have a feeling that it royally sucked. Maybe that's because the real Smog is sitting right next to me right now. And then Travis does a live mix from the station. Leon gets shamed into the next dimension. I don't think we ever see him again. Oh, and Ray gives Paige a box for her retainer so she never loses it again. Anyway, Ray and Robbie call into the show to tell Smog that he's the real unsung hero of RFR. And Smog gets to speak directly to the whole school at the party.
This is DJ Smog coming at you from a little place I am now calling home.
I think this is actually the first time he's done that. This is a beautiful little Travis episode, and I love it for him. About 90% of the time, he's been portrayed as really cool, calm, and collected, but now we know there's some insecurity going on underneath. He's incredible at the stuff he does, but nobody's made him feel really appreciated until now. He's such an interesting character, and like they all said, a vital and beloved member of the RFR squad. Episode 9, Detention Redemption, is the RFR Breakfast Club episode. If you don't remember, or you weren't fully born yet, the 2000s saw this big comeback in 80s pop culture. A lot of shows for teens had their own Breakfast Club episodes where all the main cast gets put into detention, and they each get assigned their own trope to embody. Degrassi did it, and I think Dawson's Creek did it too. Radio Free Roscoe was no exception. The episode starts during the show with a new segment called Principal Waller's Raw Deal of the Day. Today, it's about the ban on cell phones and pagers on school property. They're like, cell phones equals communication equals freedom. And Waller's listening like he does every day, and he's strangling his squeaky stress ball. He's like, freedom? How dare they foster such ideas? When the show's over, Robbie announces he's taking home all the old show CDs to label and categorize them. Ray's like, wait, what if we need them before you're done? And Robbie's like, come on, what could possibly happen? The next day, to protest the cell phone ban, they all bring walkie-talkies to school. Because they're not cell phones or pagers, they'll prove to Waller that they'll find a way to communicate at a distance no matter what. They don't seem concerned with how, since nobody else in school is pulling this shit, and RFR just talked about the cell phone ban stuff yesterday, this should make it so easy for Waller to narrow down who RFR is. Not that their little protests last long anyway, because Ray gets busted by Waller within like 5 minutes. Then Travis, then Robbie. Also, since their RFR only protest wasn't risky enough, I guess, Ray almost blows their cover too.
Cut that out. Pronto.
Cut to detention after school. Robbie's having this existential crisis over getting his first detention ever, which in my opinion is kind of a strange attitude to have for a radio DJ who stirs up shit intentionally all the time. Then this goth girl Margaret comes in because the writers realized they didn't have a preloaded goth character already. Robbie's freaking out about how if 3 out of the 4 of them are in detention, how are they going to run the show today? Ray's like, don't worry, Lily can still take care of it for us. But then Lily walks in. She just got nailed for running in the halls. And then Waller's casually like, you know what would be fun? If we caught all the RFR DJs at the same time. He just drops that on the room and walks out. So now the RFR squad is just chilling with Margaret. And this is about as Breakfast Club as it's gonna get, by the way. They don't really replicate any scenes or borrow any lines from the movie like other shows tend to do. It's just like, 5 kids, one's a witch. What more could you want? Anyway, it comes to light that Margaret is a fan of RFR, which is a disaster because the show's supposed to come on soon. She also lets them know that Waller listens to the show every day. She knows this because she spies on him, every day. I don't know how she does this. Doesn't seem like you can see into his office from where they are, but I guess she has her ways. Considering she broke into his office that day and proves it by giving Travis back his walkie-talkie, and she also stole a nose hair trimmer. She's probably just gonna use it for witchcraft on LiveJournal or something. Anyway, while Margaret has her big illegal headphones on, the DJs have to come up with a plan. Because if Waller listens to the show every day, there has to be a show today. Otherwise, he'll know for sure they're RFR. When Margaret leaves to get a soda, Travis volunteers to make a run for it. Considering the walkie-talkies were his idea in the first place, he manages to escape by distracting Waller and playing these wild animal noises on Cougar radio. Margaret comes back and sees that Travis is gone. Lily's like, oh my god, he just went out to get some water.
Gulp, gulp, gulp.
You don't think much of my comprehension skills, do you?
Then Margaret lets them know that Waller's due for a room check now, which would have been great to know 2 minutes ago before they sent Travis out. They take the sweatshirt and skeleton and fashion it into a life-size Travis doll, and luckily Waller falls for it. When Travis makes it to the station, he's just in time for the show to start. But remember that time when Robbie took all the old shows home with him? And he was like, oh, what could happen? Ray was right for once. Who would have thought? There's a pile of music CDs in the sound booth, and for some reason, Travis picks one, and then he's like, this'll have to do, as if there are no other options. And he leaves. Turns out, that CD just has one song on it, and it's a children's song about some silly little monkeys.
Ouch, ouch, silly little monkeys. Be nice to me. Ouch, ouch.
Travis, what happened back there? Margaret starts singing along to the monkey song, but then the CD starts skipping, so this won't do. Robbie lies about going to the bathroom. Lily hands him her walkie-talkie, since hers was the only one that didn't get confiscated, and he books it to the station. For some reason, he puts on a CD of sitar music, and the others use Travis's walkie-talkie to check in on him. Robbie's like, this show sucks too much. We'll have to do the show over walkie-talkie. So he attaches his to the on-air microphone and starts running back. However, unfortunately, Ray got the urge to order a pizza via Travis's walkie-talkie. He thought if they tried hard enough, they could just radio into Domino's, I guess. They all start fighting over the walkie-talkie, and they drop it, and it splatters all over the floor. Great. Travis sends Lily and Ray out to find some duct tape so he can repair the walkie-talkie. They check the supply closet and promptly get locked in there by the janitor. Even greater. Robbie gets back to see just Travis and Margaret sitting there. Margaret gives them a heads up that another head count is coming, and since what else can they do at this point, Robbie and Travis are like, fuck it, we have to go find the others. So they leave. They have to hide from Waller because he comes strolling by, giving himself a principal pep talk.
You the principal. You the Prince of Valiant.
But luckily, Margaret decides to be their ally. She comes out and she distracts Waller by demanding to see her permanent record because she doesn't believe it really exists. So Waller takes her to the office, and Robbie and Travis move on. Meanwhile, Ray and Lily are in the closet listening to the janitor sing that monkey song over and over again. I guess he's also an RFR stan. Lily snaps and she bangs on the door to get him to shut up. The janitor opens the closet and they like look at each other. Then they look at him and they're like, we were making out. The janitor's like, way to go, buddy. And Robbie and Travis see this too, and they also want to tease him, but then they hear Margaret talking loudly to Waller and coming toward them, so they run like hell back to detention. They hurry to fix Travis's walkie-talkie, and they finish just in time to complete the broadcast, right when Waller turns on RFR in his office. So Waller hears them just doing a normal show, seemingly, and he accepts that RFR probably isn't in his detention room right now, and he admits to Margaret that there's no such thing as a permanent record. Then he escorts her back to detention, and they sing the monkey song together.
All day long they throw the coconuts down I know because one hit me in the ground.
Interesting relationship. Almost like they tolerate each other just because it keeps shit interesting. Waller lets everyone free from detention, and he says he'll think about revoking the ban on cell phones. Then before they leave, Margaret tells Lily to let her know how things work out with Ray. She's all, I see how you two look at each other. Lily's all, yeah, right. Guess we'll see. Episode 10, titled Crush Me, starts right before showtime. Robbie's throwing around all kinds of bravado because he just beat Ray at a game of Torpedo. He's actually being such a cocky jerk right now. When they go live, Question Mark even starts the show off with the question, what does it take to be a winner? This is such a weird side to Robbie, guys. He's gonna act like a freak for most of this episode. I'm just warning you right now. Then Shady Lane sings a song about Torpedo being a mean game.
Torpedo's a game that's really mean, really, really mean. Merrily, 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 really, really mean.
And Robbie also drags her for how bad he thinks the song is. What's next, dude? You still got time to drag Travis for wearing another massive shirt collar. Anyway, later they're hanging out at Mickey's, and Robbie's demeaning comments seem to have stuck with Lily, because now she's on the hunt for a guitar teacher. Robbie catches Ray staring at her, and he says that staring at her isn't gonna bring him any closer to actually being with her. Like, he's still not done demolishing Ray's self-esteem for today. But that does get Ray to decide to get up and go for it. Today's the day he's asking Lily out. But then when he gets to her, she's on the phone with this guitar teacher already, which throws him off his rhythm. Lily manages to snag the last open slot for a guitar lesson with this teacher that day. So she has to hurry back to school, and Ray switches gears and he acts like he just wants to escort her there, which he ends up regretting, because when they get there, they discover the teacher's actually a total hottie. His name's Jack. Then the next day, Robbie and Ray are back at the gym playing Torpedo again. Robbie's tired of beating Ray over and over, so he convinces Travis to play against him this time. And it turns out that Travis is actually really good at the game. He says he uses his inner eye or something, like he gets one in the basket while sitting on the floor. So then Robbie has to try to make the basket the same way, but he misses it, which means Travis still has to hit him with the ball, which nobody has ever managed to do before. Oh, no, wait. Travis hit him. Later in the hallway, Lily's practicing for her guitar lesson, and Ray comes by and tries to ask her out again. But she says she's too busy to go anywhere this week since Jack is offering her multiple lessons a week now, even though his policy is just one a week, because he says Lily has a lot of potential. Is anyone else getting a little uncomfortable with this? Because I'm pretty sure I've had this exact conversation with a screenwriting professor once, and it turned out he wasn't giving me extra office hours for my potential. At the next show, Robbie's still sore at Travis for losing to him at Torpedo. He's gone all conspiracy theorist about it too. He's like, you cheated because of your inner eye thing. He just can't accept the outcome, and he wants a rematch. And he doesn't quit once they're on the air either. Question Mark asks whether a fluke makes someone a winner. Then Smog plays some crybaby sounds on the soundboard. Robbie's getting so worked up about this. Shady Lane tries to de-escalate by preaching that the world is a much better place when we stop competing and start loving. She's like, a great teacher once told me that even a guitar has a heart. I think we know which teacher that was. Lily goes to her guitar lesson and Jack has her play some chords and he's like, whoa, you've gotten so good. You're one of the best students ever. Then he's like, hey, I'm playing at this open mic tomorrow. Do you want to come? Which Lily interprets romantically. At Mickey's, Ray's still bummed about Lily, and Robbie's still upset about the Torpedo thing. This is actually really funny. Like, why can he not handle this? He tries to prove himself by challenging Travis to an arm wrestling competition. Travis tries to talk him out of it, but Robbie insists. They go for it. Robbie's head looks like it's about to explode. But as he probably predicted, Travis stays cool as a cucumber and he wins. Robbie's like, you're just using your Zen power. He thinks Travis is some kind of titan or something. He storms off and Ray asks Travis how he did it. Travis is like, I didn't do anything. He did it. Like, when you want something that much, you're not gonna get it. The more you want something, the less obtainable it becomes. If you say so. The next day, Ray joins Lily for lunch at school, and he asks her if she wants to do something later, and she actually says yes this time. Then that day at the show, Oh my god, Robbie's still keeping this up. He has challenged Travis to a breath-holding contest. Like an idiot. Robbie should know by now that this boy has evolved past the need for oxygen. Just look at him! Obviously, he loses again. When that's all said and done, Shady Lane throws on another love song, which Question Mark also takes issue with, due to his opinion that she's been playing too many love songs already. After the show, Ray and Lily go to that open mic at Mickey's, and that's when poor Ray realizes that they're there to watch Jack the hottie guitar teacher perform. I feel so bad for him. Lily shows Ray that she's made Jack this box for like a bunch of guitar picks and tools in it. Then Jack goes up and he sings a love song, obviously. Lily's turning to Ray the whole time like, oh my god, isn't he so amazing? Isn't he dreamy? Meanwhile, Ray is dead inside. Once the show's over, Lily goes up to Jack to give him her gift, but Jack's girlfriend comes up and kisses him. She's all, I love it when you do that song. Of course, Lily's disappointed, but I think I speak for all of us when I say, thank fucking God. The next day, Shady Lanes filled the playlist with a bunch of anti-love songs, which the boys also get tired of. She's like, one day you'll fall for someone, and they won't even know you're alive. And things actually go off the rails a little. Robbie almost turns off Lily's mic. Lily flips her absolute shit. She's like, now that my heart's been broken, I finally know what it's like to be you, Robbie, aka a loser. Wrong thing to say to Robbie this week. Travis starts laughing at him. Robbie's fuming. He's like, you're not smug, you're just smug. Burn.
Got to be kidding me. This was just a game. I can't hear you.
Lily goes to Mickey's to mope, and Ray catches up with her to present her with some flickerish. That's flowers and licorice, best of both worlds. He tells her not to get upset. He says one day she's gonna turn around and her soulmate will be right in front of her. But she goes, whoever it is will never be as cool as Jack. Very 14-year-old logic. Now Ray is mad. He's like, if that's how you really feel, you deserve to hurt right now. These kids are having a rough day. The next day at school, Travis tries to extend the olive branch to Robbie, but Robbie will only accept a torpedo rematch. No cheating allowed. Meanwhile, Ray tracks Lily down and he apologizes for what he said. He says that he admires her for taking a risk for love. And it doesn't even matter that it didn't go well, because now she's free from the uncertainty of a silent crush. And she can even write a killer song about the experience. This kind of thing makes me really like Ray. You know what's funny? Whenever he hits on any other girls, he can barely get any words from his brain to out his mouth. But with Lily, he usually knows exactly what to say in times like this. It's sweet. Anyway, Lily thanks him for cheering her up and he gives him a little nose kiss. Meanwhile, Robbie and Travis show up for their torpedo rematch. Robbie made sure to wear his tough guy tank top for the occasion. And this time, Robbie wins. Thank God. At the next show, Shady Lane debuts her new song about having a crush and then understanding love in a different way when things don't work out the way she wants it to. Then when Ed and Ted call in, Travis signals to the others on the blackboard like he usually does, but Robbie catches him writing with his left hand when earlier he torpedoed Robbie with his right hand. Travis, you blew it.
You know what? I refuse to be humiliated by some sort of left-handed freak.
Oh my god, Robbie, what is wrong with you? And that's the end of the episode. Episode 11, My Pal Pronto, opens with Lily getting the boys to dial her home phone number to show off the new voicemail message song she just recorded. The boys tease her a bit over it, and Lily teases Ray right back for answering the phone at his place like a butler, because if he answers it casually, his strict dad will apparently end him. Ray mentions his dad wants him to shave his sideburns for their upcoming family portrait, but guess what? He's not gonna. This gives Robbie an idea for the opening question. When is it okay to say no to a parent? Which Pronto responds to with a story that happened recently, in which he had Robbie over for family dinner, and Robbie became Ray's dad's new target for critical harassment. Dad tells Robbie that he should get a haircut if he ever wants a girlfriend, but since Robbie expected as much from this guy, he still has a sense of humor about it. Dad then threatens Ray's sideburns, as explained before. He's like, certain things are expected from our son. Ray tries to stand up for himself, but his dad's just like, Anyway, you're getting them cut off tomorrow. If you don't, we'll leave you out of the portrait. Smog has fun with this. He turns it into some kind of soap opera segment called My Pal Pronto, and he tells the audience to tune in next time for the second chapter. When they're off the air, Ray's not too hot about the idea of turning this into some kind of series, but his friends insist it'll be good radio. The next day, Ray returns to the show with a new installment of My Pal Pronto. He says at dinner last night, his dad glared at his sideburns the entire time. Dad apparently has a petty side, because he snatches the last piece of meatloaf from Ray. Then he straight up starts taking food off his child's plate, because, well, since you were so selfish about keeping your sideburns last night, it's every man for himself out there now. What is this man's deal? Ray jokes that if Dad takes his dessert, then he'll send Dad up to his room. Of course, Dad sends Ray to his room. He comes up later and tries to bribe Ray with some pudding to get him to cut his sideburns off. But Ray still pushes back, and Dad drops the nice act real quick. He's like, if you don't want to be a member of this family, maybe you should just be a boarder in this house instead. Crazy logic. You won't cut your hair when I tell you to. Hand over your DNA. It's mine now. But Ray's like, okay then. Let's do this. Pronto explains to the audience that his new rules are he has to pay for his own food, and his allowance has been cut in half. But other than that, no rules. He's his own man now. At Mickey's, Travis wonders if Ray would be pushing this boarding situation so far if they hadn't gone and turned it into a segment for the radio, which is wild because this whole thing was your idea, Travis. We see how Ray is coping so far with the new arrangement via this montage, and it seems like he's still enjoying himself. Now when he answers the phone, he gets to be like, yo, he gets to listen to music and comb his sideburns and eat cake and play with dinosaurs at the kitchen table. It's just like being a grown man. Ray's late to the next show, and he's wearing the same shirt for like the 4th day in a row now. Turns out his dad has started charging him to use the shower. And I guess he's charging a lot because it seems like Ray's opted out of it completely. Also, Dad must have gotten sick of Ray's phone etiquette because now he's charging a phone bill. I feel like he shouldn't get to tack on extra rules after the initial agreement. But even though all his friends start suggesting that Ray should go back to playing by his dad's rules again, Ray insists that he's the happiest he's ever been. Though we see right after that Ray is kind of having trouble filling up all his new free time, since all his friends still have to spend time with their families. Just because Ray's independent now doesn't mean he can have fun all the time. I mean, he comes into the next show on Monday and reports that he's resorted to just wandering aimlessly around town at 10 p.m. He'd come by the studio to mess around, only to find that Travis was sleeping there. Travis says that he gets to do stuff like that all the time because his parents don't have any rules for him at home. They're just looking at each other and being like, whoa, no rules kinda sucks, doesn't it? So, like, Travis knew that this experience was gonna suck this whole time, and yet he started the My Pal Pronto segment anyway. Ray ends up going back home and having a little heart-to-heart with his dad while they watch a sports game. Dad's like, son, this fighting's been so silly. Let's put an end to it. I'll go ahead and chop off your sideburns myself. It's no problem. Nice try, dude. He's like, I just want you to look like part of the family. And Ray's like, no. You just don't want me to grow up and start making my own facial hair decisions. And then Ray's like, touch my sideburns, Dad. Touch it. That's what growing up feels like, Dad. Dad's like, Jesus Christ, okay, calm down. I guess fuzzy sideburns run in the family anyway. You can be in the portrait if you want, just please don't make me run my fingers through your facial hair. With that, at the next RFR show, they conclude the My Pal Pronto segment, and Ray reveals that he's shaved his sideburns after all, saying he feels better about it because he chose to shave them on his own accord. And at the end of the day, he still values being his dad's son. And then the gang starts teasing him about how his sideburns will probably never grow back into their former glory, so they psychologically torture him about it like friends do. This was definitely Probably the weakest episode of the season, in my opinion. The message isn't really messaging. Episode 12, Call of the Cougar, starts during the show while Question Mark talks about a song he listened to while on top of the Empire State Building one time, and how well the song went with the view. So he asks what everyone's life soundtracks are. Shady Lane says that she's made a mixed CD of things that are going to happen in the future, so they throw that on for everyone to listen to. They go to Mickey's later, and Ray's back to practicing asking Lily out.
Moo, Lily. That's me and you. Best of both worlds.
Oh yeah, Ray. Work your catchphrase into it. The one she hears you say every day, she'll be wrapped around your little finger. Meanwhile, Robbie teases Lily about all the romantic songs that were on her For the Future playlist, and she lets him in on a secret. She has a crush on a really hot guy right now. She won't tell Robbie who it is, but she's feeling confident that things are going to work out really well with him. She gets up for a minute to browse the CDs, and Robbie sneakily peeks into her CD player to see the CD is labeled Songs for ? Of course, he interprets it as Songs for ? And not like Songs for Who knows? Notably, he doesn't seem too opposed to the idea. At school the next day, everyone's getting into their school spirit for a big football game coming up against the Cougars' arch rivals, the Eagles from Logan High. Ray's hella into it. Meanwhile, Travis has not a single school-spirited bone in his body. He's like, this us versus them mentality is the root of every problem in the entire world. So that's his reasoning. I mean, I can't really blame him for not wanting to get in on the Roscoe High variety of school spirit, because it's completely fucking batshit. Ed and Ted stroll in with this straight-up effigy of the Eagle mascot. They're fully convinced it'll get them ladies. Waller even comes on the intercom to remind them to not, like, literally kill anybody. Then the school mascot, Crunch the Cougar, comes dancing into the cafeteria. I guess what he does is he picks one unlucky kid to do the Roscoe High hand jive with him. Of course, he goes and picks Travis. And no matter how spunky Crunch gets with him, Travis keeps politely declining to do the dance. But after lunch, there's this guy on the football team named Carter, and he's caught wind of Crunch's devastating rejection by Travis. So he comes to confront Travis over it. He's like, why didn't you do the hand jive? Do the hand jive or I'll fucking kill you. This guy is crazy. He's like, how dare you break Crunch's heart? Do the hand jive or suffer the consequences. Of course, Travis is like, ha, no. Waller has to come get between them. For some reason, he tells both of them off equally. He victim blames Travis for not having enough school spirit. He's like, get with the program. And this will happen to you less. On the air that day, Pronto preaches about cougar spirit and why it's important to be loyal to the school, which, to be honest, to me, that sounds counter to the entire point of RFR. You know, that whole freedom of thought, non-conformity thing they have going. What would I know? Smog pushes back against Pronto and the show quickly comes to a close. The next day, Ray approaches Carter at school to apologize for Travis not having school spirit. Carter's like, wanna prove yourself, Ray? This guy's always trying to get people to prove themselves. He's like, if you steal the cougar costume, we can frame Logan High for stealing it, and then Roscoe High will get hella fired up for the game. As if they're not fired up now. I don't know if you've noticed the literal effigy that Ed and Ted threw together in a psychotic school spirit fit Carter. I guess not. I feel like even a tiny bit more school spirit would be dangerous here. Ray's not into the idea until Carter calls him a geek. And it's news to me that Ray had any kind of bad boy reputation, but okay, that was convincing enough for him. Later, Robbie and Travis are hanging out at the studio, and that's when Robbie discloses that Lily might be into him because of the CD thing. Now, Robbie has no idea what exactly his feelings for Lily are. He might even be catching them right now, but he doesn't want to hurt Ray. Travis recommends that Robbie doesn't try to force anything, just give himself some time to feel the feelings and decide what they actually mean. No reason to jump to conclusions, right? Could be nothing. Meanwhile, Ray's at school to steal the cougar costume. He hides it in this closet right when Waller comes down the hallway doing his principal pep talk again, like in the Detention episode. Later, Robbie goes over to Lily's place for a study date, but Lily's pretty distracted. She tells him to close his eyes, and then reveals to him these new earrings she just got. Then she asks him if he wants to listen to another song on her future playlist CD. She's like, this is the makeout song. And Robbie's so affected by the music, he starts to lean in for a kiss, until he spots these photos of Lily and Ray on her wall, and he gets all overcome by guilt and he runs away. The next day at school, everyone's going nuts again for the upcoming game. Travis is hiding under a table in the cafeteria. I don't know why, but today he brought a mic with him so he can creepily eavesdrop on everyone else's conversations. Maybe he just wants to hear when the school spirit police are coming for him. But he overhears Carter telling Ray, "Man, I didn't think you had it in you to steal the cougar costume and frame Logan High for stealing the cougar costume." Right then, Waller comes onto the intercom to break the news that Crunch has been stolen. And now he's mad too. He's like throwing darts at a picture of this eagle in his office. Travis quickly pieces it together that Ray's the one who's actually responsible. Then the rally is gonna start and everyone's going crazy. Ray tries to sneak away from the crowd, but then he's intercepted by Ed and Ted, our self-appointed school spirit police. They try to stop Ray from ditching the rally, but then Travis appears out of nowhere, sporting this big Roscoe afro. He's like, "There's a wild gang of Logan students! They're getting away!" Ed and Ted run off to go stop them. I don't know what kind of scenario they're expecting to find. Just some students who aren't supposed to be there. I guess it's time for them to die. Once they're gone, Travis asks Ray where Crunch is. Ray and Travis sneak to the supply closet to retrieve Crunch, but Carter catches Ray and drags him back to the rally, like, "Ha, I knew you'd be a little chicken shit about this. Come with me." Travis escapes, getting caught by hiding in a recycling bin. Meanwhile, Robbie and Lily are sitting next to each other at the rally, and it looks like Robbie's considering making a move again. But Ray plops down right between Robbie and Lily, right when Robbie's going to hold Lily's hand. Ray's like, "God damn it, I stole the mascot." His friends are like, "What the fuck, Ray?" And he just decides, "I'm gonna come clean to Waller and get this over with." So he gets up and goes. Then Lily's all, "Oh my god, my crush is driving me so crazy right now." Robbie panics and he switches gears again. He's like, sometimes it's good to stay friends, right? Like sometimes the friends to lovers thing can be really confusing and bad." But Lily's all, "What friend? I just met the guy." And it's revealed that her crush is actually this drummer dude. Lily thinks he's hot, and she's gonna ask him out today. That was a close shave for Robbie. So Ray is telling Waller that he knows where Crunch is. But then who else shows up but Crunch? Crunch starts running around, and everyone's going nuts. Then he full-on kicks the eagle's head off right in front of everybody. It's vicious. Waller's like, "Crunch, that was very unsportsmanlike." He drags him out by the ear to the hallway, and he pulls his head off. And it was Travis all along. Waller thinks about punishing him, but then again, he did tell Travis to get with the program earlier. So, surprise! Travis is the official Crunch performer now. His worst nightmare. At the next show, Shady Lane talks about the date she went on with the drummer dude, which turns out did not go well, because people who never stop drumming on shit are just intolerable to the max. The kids talk about updating their life soundtracks, and Smog plays the official Roscoe school anthem for them. Then all the boys start pretending to be the drummer dude to tease Shady. It's really cute. And that's the episode. I don't really know what the message to this one is either. School spirit is good, unless you take it too far. Unless the principal gives you a job afterward, then that's all that matters. I don't know. In episode 13, Sports Radio, we join the gang in the middle of a show as they kick off a new segment called Pronto's Craw, where Pronto gets to vent about things that bug him. When the show's over, Robbie praises Ray for having a great new segment. Ray agrees that the segment is great, but he says it would be even better if he wasn't anonymous and the people loved Ray, not Pronto. Everyone else is like, well, just comes with the anonymous territory. We signed up for this. Then Robbie and Ray head out to go watch the next Cougar basketball game, while Travis and Lily stay to goof around with the applause sound cue.
Good night, Roscoe! I love you!
These two are actually the sweetest. After the Cougar game, Robbie and Ray are in the gym, and this guy Todd comes to say hi. He's this guy on the basketball team. Ray fanboys at him a little for being the only freshman on the team, and then Todd leaves. Then Ray goes to shoot some hoops and does that whole, he dribbles to the right, he dribbles to the left, here comes the shot, and he misses it. But then the ball rolls under the foot of none other than Kim Carlisle. Haven't seen her in a Kim Carlisle, have we? Kim's like, I have no idea what you were just saying, but it sounded good. You should come be the Cougar Radio sports announcer. Which is, crazy. She hasn't heard this guy give any actual sports commentary yet. She's just like, sounds like sports. Here's a job offer. Robbie's like, ha! Ray would rather die than work for Cougar Radio. And Kim's like, okay, dude, wasn't asking you. Then she leaves. Robbie's all, as if you'd work for the enemy, huh, Ray? But, looks like Ray's thinking about it. Actually, he was really thinking about it. Because the next day, he's already at Cougar Radio reading their basketball updates. All his friends are listening in the cafeteria and struggling to adjust to this new development. But Robbie's confident that Ray's gonna quit the second he realizes that Cougar Radio's a joke. At the next show, Question Mark and Shady are talking about the late fees that the school charges for different stuff. And they try to get Pronto to contribute, but he's too distracted by his Cougar Radio business. So Smog has to come to the rescue and cover for him before quickly cutting to the music. And now Robbie's starting to realize that this Cougar Radio gig is going to become a problem for RFR. We see some scenes of Ray going to games and interviewing athletes. He is actually good at it. Once his broadcast is over for the day, Kim formally welcomes him as a permanent Cougar Radio cast member with this little jacket, and Robbie walks by just in time to witness this. Absolutely soul-crushing. He tries to invite Ray to lunch, but no. Ray's gotta go hang out with Todd, the basketball freshman again. Poor Robbie. Ray is late to the next show, so Smog has to cover for Pronto again. He's doing this kind of awkward, advicey kind of bit, but he's under some illusion that he's absolutely killing it. It's kind of different to see Travis fail at something. Ray eventually drops by, but it's just to tell them that he's gonna miss the show for the day because of Cougar Radio. That could have been a text, right? Everyone's pissed with Ray now for constantly ditching them. He tries to make amends by coming up to them at Mickey's and buying them some drinks. He promises to give RFR his undivided attention. And then the sports guys walk by, and he gets this yearning puppy dog look on his face until Robbie's just like, just go. And Ray's like, okay. There's another montage of Ray snubbing his friends over and over in favor of hanging out with sports people and Kim Carlisle. I wonder if he ever does his Kim Carlisle impression for her. He interviews Todd again. No one else worth talking to, I guess. Then when that interview's over, Kim drops by and says Ray's a hit, so as of today, he's gonna have to go on the air after school too. Uh-oh. That's no good. That's RFR time. Not that he's been good at making it lately anyway, but still. But the second some girl walks by and draws a little heart over his face in the Cougar Radio window, he's sold. Now it's Cougar Radio all the way for him. Then Robbie, Lily, and Travis are listening to Ray on Cougar Radio at the RFR studio, and this is how they figure out that he's not going to be with them anymore. That sucks. That's rude. Robbie goes to Mickey's later and he catches Ray talking to Todd again. God, just ask him out already, Ray. Todd invites Ray to come to the team party after the game. Ray sees Robbie. He tries to apologize for bailing on the show, but Robbie is not hearing it anymore. He's like, obviously you have no use for me or RFR. Then Ray gets mad and he starts rubbing it in Robbie's face that everyone knows his name and he's popular for being Ray, not like anonymous question mark, because that's what Robbie's technically always wanted. They have a little shouty match. Ray is like, at least everyone knows who I am at Cougar Radio. That's all that matters. There are no possible downsides to this new life I'm living. Robbie goes back to the studio and walks in on Travis rehearsing his new impression of Nostradamus.
In the future, I foresee these tragic events. 2 world wars and the Olsen twins building an entertainment empire.
Travis keeps coming up with all these bits and He thinks he's doing great so far, at least. Robbie lets Travis know that he and Ray probably aren't going to be friends anymore. Travis tries to convince him to not give up hope, but it's looking a little too late for that. Ray continues to cover basketball games, and he's really getting all up in his own ego. The team plays a bad game, so at Ray's next broadcast, he does what he's used to doing on RFR, which is being honest. And he tells it straight how the team sucked major ass that day. However, he hasn't considered how the team's gonna feel about that report, and the team files into the booth to murder him. The best part about this is that RFR is listening to Cougar radio while this is happening. So they hear the audio of Ray getting mauled by a bunch of basketball players. Robbie's worried, so he runs off to go save Ray's ass. We see that Ray has been all bound and gagged in his chair. Maybe everyone who walked by saw and just didn't care. Kim Carlisle stops by, not to help him, obviously, but to reprimand him for talking badly about the basketball team. She fires him and then she wheels him right out of there. We cut back to Lily and Travis for a second. They're trying to keep the show going, but Travis just keeps doing his bits, and Lily just doesn't have the heart to tell him, please stop killing our show with this trash. Travis looks at her like, come on, what did you think? And she's like, it was really good. Now Ray's untangled himself and he's gone to the gym where he catches Todd practicing. He's like, look, sorry, I rag on my friends all the time. It's just a thing I do. But Todd's like, no offense, but what makes you think that you and I are friends? Ow. Todd leaves. Robbie comes and finds Ray. They talk it out and they make up. Robbie admits that he was jealous of Ray, and Ray admits that there were some major downsides to not being anonymous. Then Ray's like, wait, if both of us are here, who's running RFR? Robbie's all, Lily and Travis. Why? Fuck. They run as fast as they can to save the broadcast. They get to the studio, Ray makes amends with everybody, and of course he's the one who's brave enough to tell Travis that he sucks. Turns out Travis would have wanted that brand of honesty anyway because Buddha was like pro-suffering or whatever the hell. Whatever. Everyone's good now. Pronto's returned. RFR can go back to normal, and Ray gets to rag on his friends straight to their faces, just like old times. A happy ending indeed. And speaking of endings, that was the ending of season 1 of Radio Free Roscoe. Yay! We did it! I've had such a good time revisiting this show. I got to meet these awesome, interesting characters all over again, and I appreciate the show's message much more deeply than I did when I was 11 years old. The Radio Free Roscoe writers made sure that these 14-year-old characters understood that having a big platform is a big responsibility. When they promised their fellow students that RFR was the place where anyone can be heard, they had to mean it. If someone wanted to criticize them or their opinions, they had every right to. It didn't mean that RFR couldn't respond with a snarky little Shady Lane song or an unflattering impression by Pronto, because that's not the same thing as censorship. When everybody gets to state their opinions out loud, we get both the opportunity to understand one another better and potentially the chance to persuade our opponents to change their minds. When we just try to silence people who disagree with us, we end up shutting down that avenue for progress altogether. This show's even got me to think a little bit harder about my own platform here on YouTube and how I want to use it. I mean, I have no plans to get political or dramatic here. I'm not interested in creating controversy, I just want to entertain you all. But I realize that even with a small channel like mine, I need to decide what's important to me when it comes to the relationship I have with my subscribers. For example, I don't want to lie to you or mislead you on how I create my content or take credit for other people's work. And I want to be sure I'm transparent to you all about my production progress with my videos. And I don't want to use whatever influence I have to cause any of you to make bad decisions or anything like that. At the same time, I have to stay true to myself. For instance, I've announced my ethnicity and sexual orientation at the top of my channel for all to see, and if anyone has a problem with either of those things, they've had ample opportunity by now to just skip my content and move on with their lives. But if they decide to stick around and give me shit for those parts of me anyway, I'm not obligated to take the bait. Sorry, not sorry. Anyway, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching the entire video. This was my first full season recap of the show, and I definitely had fun. I'll probably cover season 2 of Radio Free Roscoe sometime soon, just not immediately. I have a couple of Degrassi themed videos planned next. And I also want to do a season 1 recap of a completely different show that is nothing like Degrassi in any way, shape, or form. It's just my absolute favorite show of all time, and I've been dying to talk about it. I've hinted at it here and there in some of my videos before. If you know me in real life, you already know what show I'm talking about, but shh. I hope you're all down to give that show a chance when the time comes, because it means a lot to me. But anyway, that's enough from me for today. Remember to be your own radio, and I'll see you next time.